Welcome viewers to this series of lectures on ancient India, and we have been speaking about the post Mauryan scenario, and this particular lecture is about the post Mauryan economy, and this is part 4 of the series. And in the earlier episodes of this post Mauryan economy, we have already spoken of various segments of the economic profile of the post Mauryan period in terms of agriculture, trade, commerce, revenue generation and so forth. And this lecture is more about the Indo-Roman trade, which had become the characteristic feature of this period. Indo-Roman trade, not only the overland, but also the maritime trade intercourse that India started to have with the Roman world in the post-Mauryan period. In the earlier interactions that I had with you, we also spoke of the so-called discovery of monsoon by the West as a characteristic feature of the Indian Ocean, which they were leveraging to good effect to transact with India and Southeast Asia. It is in this process that several Indo-Roman sources, Strabo, Pliny and so forth, you have Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, which is Red Sea, as a source, which becomes very important. So, in the earlier interactions, we discussed about their references, and that helps us to reconstruct the degree and level of the economic transaction that India was having with the Roman world. And in the same process, let us proceed with what we were discussing. Pliny also has left data to visualize about this trade transaction, and of course, given the archaic nature of the available technology for navigation through boats and ships, obviously one could not venture straight away into the deep sea in order to come from the Red Sea to Malabar coast or something. So, it happened along the coasts, along the say Arabian Indus Delta coast, and then Gujarat coast, and then Maharashtra and Malabar coast. So, obviously, venturing into the high sea with that archaic technology was just not possible. So, perhaps that is how historians try to understand this, that it was happening in 4 stages. So, from Red Sea port, Myos Hormuz, to the Muziris, which is on the Malabar coast, which is also referred to in the Sangam literature as Musiri, and it is said that this distance was covered in 40 days. Now, the earliest point of contact in the Indian subcontinent from the west was a particular port, Pathaline, which was located on the Indus Delta. So, right at the point where Indus meets the Arabian Sea. And again, as you see that they are not taking a direct straight line route from Red Sea to Muziris, but they are following the coastline, which was the usual practice, right. And of course, the rhythm and direction of the monsoon wind could have been a factor for this, apart from the technological level of the ships or boats that they were using. From there, they probably came to the port of Barbaricum, which is the middle mouth of Indus River, and from there to Sigirius or Jaigarh, which is located on the Konkan coast, and from there to Muziris, which is on the Malabar coast. So, that explains as to how it is a 4-leg kind of movement from the Red Sea to the Malabar coast. As the knowledge about the monsoon wind and its utilization for navigational purposes grew, the sea route gradually shifted more to southern part of the western coast of India. And that tells you that with the advanced or increased knowledge of the rhythm and pattern and direction of monsoon wind and also the timing of the monsoon wind, of course, they would avoid the tumultuous months, which is the present month, say June, July and so forth, and they would resume only in the months of August onwards, or maybe even September, August end or September, and then proceed to Indian coasts. So, as their awareness about monsoon grew, we find that the focus for them is shifting from the western littoral of India to southern littoral of India. It is the peninsular India with which they become more or to which they become more gravitated. So, that is an interesting feature that comes out through this four-leg visualization of interaction that was happening earlier, and with the awareness about monsoon, the focus now is directly more on the peninsular coast of India, which is the Malabar coast. Now, Casson's study on the sources, which is basically about the classical sources of Greco-Roman world, which are related to this trade, they suggest that the ports on the western seaboard of India would remain closed during the height of monsoon, and this is what I was just referring to. Therefore, maritime activity on the western seaboard resumed only around late August and early September. We, as I speak to you today, we are in the middle of monsoon months, right. So, these are the precise months or the time that the Indo-Roman traders avoided so far as transacting through the Indian Ocean is concerned or Arabian Sea is concerned, and they would rather rest or stay at one place, and once the monsoon gets monsoon winds subside or they are no more there rising in the Indian Ocean, that is the time that they would resume their journey, right. So, that is something that comes out through Casson's study on these sources and their rhythm and timing and so forth. Further, Casson also suggests that the actual sailing time perhaps was not 20 days as was claimed earlier, but not 40 days, but only 20 days. So, Pliny had earlier suggested that this journey from Hormuz to Muziris took 40 days. Now, Casson is saying that it's actually the actual sailing time is just 20 days and not 40 days as suggested by Pliny. There are several other scholars who have worked on this trade interaction that was happening around this time. Sidebotham, he supplements the literary data with archaeological data. And so, it is not only literary references which can be exaggerated and so forth, but very precise, hard to remove and brutally present archaeological data, right. And this he does on around the Red Sea ports and Gulf of Aden. So, those areas, the archaeological records that are there, that is what Sidebotham works around, and it is concluded from this work as well that the Red Sea had definitely become the principal sea lane in the Western Indian Ocean for sea trade between India and the Roman world. And please remember why we are emphasizing this, the importance of Red Sea, is because In the earlier period, perhaps it was the Persian Gulf, which was the focus area. So, earlier sources would talk more about the Persian Gulf in this interaction that was happening with the Roman world via Indian Ocean and so forth. So, perhaps they are the traders belonging to the Persian Gulf, they are the ones who are calling the shots. Now, it is the Red Sea area, it is the Red Sea channel which is assuming importance, and the Persian Gulf has perhaps faded into not oblivion, but certainly not the mainstream. So, as I just discussed that prior to it, it was the Persian Gulf which had played a similar role in the Western Indian Ocean, and the evidence of the significance of Persian Gulf in the Indo-Roman trade is also made evident by J.F. Salis' work, and obviously, in the post modern period, it is the Red Sea that becomes important, primarily because even in terms of sources, it is the Periplus Maris Erythraei, which is Periplus of the Erythraean Sea or Red Sea, which becomes the principal source of reconstruction about this trade. Now, if you look at this issue in a big way, if you look at the historiography of the Indo-Roman trade across time, we find that of late we have been putting a lot of emphasis on the western littorals and the premier ports like Barbaricum at the mouth of Indus, or Barigaza at the mouth of the Narmada, or Muziris in the Malabar area. These are the important premier ports that are spoken about in these sources. However, the issue of port-hinterland relationship has not quite been written about, and of late in the last 20-30 years, a lot of people have worked around this segment or this theme as well, and now it has come to light that it's not plausible to ignore this particular aspect. You cannot go on building theories on the basis that it was just touch and go from ports, from port towns to other port town which are mentioned. So, over and beyond that, if you holistically think about the transformative capacity of such a lucrative transaction on the society and economy of the area where such transactions are happening, then the issue of port-hinterland relationship also becomes important, and now it is believed that it had just or it would not have been possible to just go on hip-hopping from one port to the other for such a durable, long-drawn interaction with the Roman world. So, there must have been some socio-economic correlates of this transaction, and any port over a period of time can exist as a port only when it has a very robust network of connections with the hinterland, where demand is there, where demand for such items is there, or through which at least the articles can travel across the peninsula down to eastern littorals. Please remember that Indo-Roman trade evidence is coming not only from the western littorals or southern part of the peninsula, but also the eastern part of the peninsula, and quite a few of them could have been transacted overland from the western coast to eastern coast, or vice versa as well. So, because the trade route is carrying on to Southeast Asia. So, this particular aspect has of late been a focus area for researchers. Now, the issue of port-hinterland relationship, which was overlooked in the historiography, is sought to be rectified of late. So, and also relative importance of different ports. So, all ports, all references cannot be uniformly understood in a plain placid way, but some ports are having vast network of trade route connections and hinterland access and so forth. So, those ports could have been more important, and some references are just there. So, this relative significance of different ports is also something which is being looked at by the present time researchers. Ptolemy's geography, which is yet another important source to reconstruct the Indo-Roman trade in the post-modern times, tells us about the growing importance of eastern coast ports from say the 2nd century, middle of the 2nd century CE. Now, Kolchi, which is identified with Korkai, Khaberos, which is identified with Kaveri Pattanam of Sangam literature, or Tamilites, as is understood with reference to Tamralipt of Bengal coast. So, these are some of the references that are there in Ptolemy's geography, and they are all on the eastern coast of India, and that again tells you that it is not only the western part of the peninsular India which is benefiting. Eastern part of the peninsular India is also very much sucked into this Indo-Roman trade, and perhaps Ptolemy was the first scholar to inform us of the important role played by the coasts along the Bay of Bengal, or what can also be understood as the Gangetic Gulf, right. So, and historians talk about this also with reference to the state formation capacity of this trade, because it is not only through agrarian income of or agrarian surplus that social and economic differentiation, which is an essential prerequisite for the formation of state society, that can be attained, but it can come even through trade and commerce of a very high magnitude. Please remember that even today several of the South Indian states do have the practice of having twin capitals, or they toy with this idea, which is something which was very much common in the Sangam literature. All the polities would have one inland capital and one port capital, and of course, they must have been aware of the potentials of port towns to get and extract material surplus through this thriving trade. That is why they are careful that every viable polity should have access to sea, because sea was also conduit of prosperity due to this trade. So, another thing that we had alluded to earlier also, let us reiterate this, that foreign trade here is not entirely seaboard. This is the time, the postmodern times is the times when northwestern India and Central Asia provided the overland connect to the Roman trade. This is with reference to India. So, apart from that, transactions are happening overland also through Central Asia, through Northwest India. I had in the previous part of this lecture had alluded to the silk route, which is very much in operation at around this point of time. I had also alluded to the political disturbance in the Central Asia, due to which some traders of the silk route could have taken a detour to avoid the Central Asia region and straight away go to the Arabian Sea via Indus River, and then use the Red Sea channel, because that is the mainstream channel in these times, reach Alexandria, and from there to European market. So, even the Silk route, some segment of it is taking a different route due to disturbances in Central Asia. So, overland trade is also happening, and this is the time of the Kushanas, which is whose basis of power is located in Central Asia, but they had a formidable presence in Northwest and North India as well. So, Indian economy is gaining on account of this as well. Begram near Kabul is mentioned very prominently. Mortimer Wheeler speaks of Begram as the point of custom duty collection. If an inland area like Begram is mentioned as custom duty collection point, that can tell you about the importance of this site in terms of trade, merchant activities and trade routes. So, Karakoram highway probably served as the overland highway. Some Kharoste scripts have been found from this area, Karakoram highway. Even today, I mean, whatever parleys that are held between India, China, Pakistan, they speak of the importance of Karakoram area, and every country wants to have some access to this, because it's a highway from where so many things can be looked at. So, it gives them some strategic advantage to have control and formidable presence around Karakoram highway, and historically it has been there. So, that is the point. So, maybe some of the traders are using it as shortcut during the Silk Route or overland transaction. That is something that we have already spoken about. Now, periplus of the Erythraean Sea, which is an important source to reconstruct the maritime history of this period. We are informed through periplus about the movement of goods from Kabul to Pushkalavati, and then to Takshila in the northwest, to the port of Barigaza. This is the circuit, that's trade circuit that we are talking of. So, from Takshila it reaches Mathura, from there to Ujjaini and back to Barigaza. So, this is the route that it takes inside the Indian subcontinent, right, and that again brings you to light the importance of important trade magnets, the function of trade magnets as is served by these sites. Mathura is a very important trade site during the Post Mauryan period. So, is Ujjaini. Barigaza of course is a port town. So, Takshila, Mathura, Ujjaini, Barigaza, they are all part of the trade circuit that we are talking of, and there is coming together of the maritime and overland network of transaction that is happening. Movement of Buddhist monks of Kalyan to the site on your screen, they are also known from the inscribed gold tablets that we have. So, these are some of the evidences that we get that substantiate the point that there was a very thriving Indo-Roman trade happening, not only through maritime route, but also through overland route. Hence, if overseas trade is flourishing, then the network of roads linking the harbors to hinterland must be important, and that is why such researches are directed towards it. In social coordinates, we can highlight the role of the cities. They had money and they could finance these caravans, these traders, so forth. Casson also tells us about a document record of a loan contract between two Greco-Roman merchants at the famous port of Muziris, from where precious commodities were shipped on a vessel which is named Harmopolion. So, such references are there, they are very direct references. Similarly, 6 parcels of precious Indian goods like Gangetic nard, ivory, tusk, fine fabric, they are all mentioned having shipped to important ports like Bernice or Meos Hormuz. The route is Meos Hormuz, from there to desert, across the desert on camels probably, to Coptos through river vessels on Nile, and then finally to Alexandria, where 25% custom duty was charged here on commodities. And that tells you about the importance of Alexandria. Today we get to know about America insisting for 25% custom duty from several other countries that are not producing in America and still sending goods to America. So, such antecedents are very much there, and it is Alexandria where 25% of custom duty was probably collected. The document, however, is silent on the export of pepper, which is the most important spice exported from India. And finally, let us talk about the eastern littorals, which have come in for focus in terms of researches in the past 3-4 decades. B.N. Mukherjee's researches on Kharoshti Brahmi documents, which are present on terracotta seals and ceilings and also inscribed potteries. He claims that it belongs to the first 3 to 4 centuries of the Common Era, which is indicative of monetary circulation along the Bengal coast, although this is contested by Mahadevan. Nevertheless, it tells you about the possible sustainability of such interactions even on the eastern coast. The issue of Indian trade with Southeast Asia, its role probably as a civilizing force is something which is debated. However, what cannot be disputed is the strong cultural influence that is evident in Southeast Asia. So far as Indian influence is concerned, literary images of Subarn Bhumi, now more focus and reliance on archaeological evidence is there instead of these literary images that we have about Indian influence in Southeast Asia. On the basis of the findings of beads of semi-precious stones, iron objects and pottery, the contact date with the Southeast Asia of the eastern littorals of India can be pushed back to 500 to 400 BCE. However, suffice it to say that it must have remained largely a coastal contact. However, there is a different accentuation of overseas voyages and close contact with Southeast Asia from 1st century CE, which is the post-Mauryan period that is the subject of our discussion. And then there are key sites in this network which are outlined on your screen, so that you can take note of. And that tells you that in the post-modern times, it is not only the maritime trade through the western coast, but also maritime trade through the eastern coast involving the coast hinterland connections, and also in the northern part of India, the overland transactions that was happening, the Silk Route issue, the issue of Kushanas, the integration of Silk Route through Arabian Sea, through the Indian Ocean, across the Red Sea, and so many channels are operational so far as trade contact with the Roman world is concerned and with the Southeast Asia is concerned. So, that is about the Indo-Roman trade in the post-Mauryan period. Thank you.